real problem here. Therefore, what's the real value proposition?
Yeah, I mean, we were asking people to pay for low-cost hand pumps at first, and then people wouldn't pay for it. And so we're like trying to get a third of the cost up front, and then we'd ask people to pay for ongoing maintenance on it. We couldn't get people to pay $200 a year for a hand pump or $200 up front. So we wanted $200 to $300 up front, $200 a year, and we're going to try to finance these hand pumps over time. We designed our own pump, low-cost drilling technology, yada, 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 and we were just working hard to try to get it cheap enough and try to find the right value proposition for people. With piped water, we get $5,000 to $8,000 up front before we even come in from the same demographic, from the same community. Because the value proposition, the job to be done of water was finally understood, where people are like, no, I'll pay, $100 deposit at my mud hut to have piped water in front of my house because I'm going to turn it into a micro business. I'm going to save 3 hours a day. I don't have to wait on anyone else. No one else is going to block me from getting it anymore. And I could move on with a million other things that I need to deal with today other than that. And when I was a missionary, people told me that Americans have watches, Africans have time. And it's like such a stupid thing. It's like people are trapped in these inefficiencies, not because it's a choice or some sort of cultural value. It's just we've not innovated through business solutions to give people their time back. And when a woman or girl starts carrying water from 6 to 65, that's 16 years of daylight hours that are lost hauling water over the course of her life.
Yeah.
And when half a population gets 16 years back, in daily increments of 3 hours a day, things begin to change really fast. And so what people pay from us when they buy the water from this company, you're paying, less than a penny a gallon. But what they're really buying is time. They're buying time and labor of hauling it. And then the water is sort of a secondary product to that. It's not that the water's not important. It's clean. It's triple treated, purified. But really interesting for me as a missionary to realize that needed to take people at their word, needed to see them as I see the people around me in my context, and then ask myself what problems did they face to get them from where they are to where they'd like to be, which turns out everyone would like to be in a life a lot like the one that we're living today.
So your story, it's interesting, Matt, your story to me reads a little bit like an Ayn Rand novel in that you're really taking on the one hand, you're taking I'll say purely, nothing's pure, but as pure as I've seen it, a purely capitalist approach to it, in that you've discovered the real need, you're meeting the real need, you're charging market rates.
Yep.
You're selling value here. You're getting money in return. You're making money. And you somehow, I don't think Ayn Rand would have gone here, but you're taking this pretty pristine form of capitalism and putting it into the world that the mission community has filled with a Christian veneer over socialism. Let's all just get together, help each other, and that'll work. And it hasn't worked. So what you're doing is working. And you've managed to weave in disciple making without losing your way on either side. How did you do that? What is it that made that possible?
I mean, the Lord did it. I mean, it was like us making a million wrong decisions and spending a lot of donor dollars to figure out a solution where we're at. Like currently, last year, 60% of the infrastructure was still grant funded, but 40% of it was financed through sales. And within 6 years, we should have a fully financeable model where we can take full investment and repay investment, use charity to de-risk new markets, go to new countries, expand. So we're not like at a pure business yet, but gosh, we're on the up and to the right trajectory is there. Our customers buy 2 times more in their second year than their first year because we're getting people time back and their incomes are going up. So we're building businesses with the intent to take on fully private investment for the whole thing. Why? Because half the planet doesn't have clean water. And there's not enough charity or government subsidy to scratch the surface of what needs to be done. So it's just, to me, it's really a logical, pragmatic decision where too many people are dying and suffering to use good intentions and altruism to do something about it. And the only thing that's ever built an economy, or the only thing that's ever historically eradicated poverty, is free market capitalistic approaches. It's what lifted us, has lifted, it's well over 1 billion people out of poverty, since the 1960s. And if you look at World Bank funding or read anything by Bill Easterly, you can see that when foreign aid enters an economy, the GDP declines rather than increases. And so an aid-based approach that's redistributing cash from one place to another place doesn't create market forces that can continue to leverage local assets and resources in productive ways. So they're consumed and then they're done. What happens in free markets is that the intuition of a customer that a product or service will solve their problem engages in a transaction, and the desire for the business providing the product or service to increase their profits engages in an incentive to iterate quickly to further solve that problem, giving more value to the customer. And the millions of cycles of that purchasing process that happen quickly and rapidly drive business-based innovations to solve problems with high levels of efficiency and high levels of impact. You can't do that with foreign aid and government because the incentive's not there to solve the problem that puts you as a charity out of business or government out of business. And then the feedback mechanisms of the P&L aren't there where you give the thing. There's no need for it to work so that you get your salary next week. You all get paid regardless of whether it works. And so there's just all these things that we've like just come to see in market laws that aren't there. So
in short, really what you've done is you've operated. This is a kingdom principle. You've operated with the flywheel of putting the things in play, of thought, of action, of value creation. This is a flywheel effect, to steal the term from Jim Collins, that once it's up and running, it actually does continue for quite some time. It is the motor that runs the world, right?